Okay, welcome back to the Rock and Roll channel, and tonight is another Jericho Cruise edition. I messaged this guy after the last show. He was pumped to see the last show because he's close friends with. If you watch the last Jericho Cruise preview with Desi and Jamal, those are old school friends of this guy right here, Walter, who has been on every cruise as well. And if you thought my story with Desi was crazy, how I met him, this guy's is even crazier. So I'm gonna tell the story, and Walter, welcome to the show, and correct me if I'm wrong in any way whatsoever. So, first cruise, 2018, uh, Jericho cruise. We're waiting. We had to wait about an hour to get onto the ship. I'm standing waiting to get on. This guy standing behind me, and I remember this. I remember this, man. And on the theme for that first cruise on the first day was represent your hometown. So Walter, to his credit, wore a Crab Cake City Jimmy Seafood T-shirt because he's from the Maryland area, the Baltimore, Maryland area, DC, Maryland area. And I said, I've been there. I love that place. And so Walter starts telling me right off the bat, this is my first ever cruise. And Chris Jericho is my favorite wrestler of all time. One of my, not just favorite wrestlers of all time, but one of my heroes in life, and just everything about it. And he said, I've never been on a cruise, but I had to come with this guy. So I was telling Walter, like, I can't speak for everything else. You'll be fine on the ship. I was just telling him all that. He said, have you cruised before? I said, oh, many times. We've been friends ever since. Almost 7 years later, I ran into him after that cruise, which we're going to talk about soon, at a Ring of Honor show. So we joked about seeing each other on land and how this cruise, not only was it as awesome as thought it would be, it exceeded our expectations. Now, Walter, yes, like I just described, was new to cruising and new to this. Now has become a cruise legend. Everybody knows Walter on the ship. He's famous. You can guarantee if there's a Fozzy concert or a major wrestling thing, Talk is Jericho, something, Walter is there representing first row. Chris has shouted him out many times on the ship because they've become cool like that. So, Walter, welcome. I hope that introduction was accurate.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this, Jeremy. I'm very honored. First of all, I want to say hi, Jeremy, and for listeners, hi guys. Yeah, no man, it's awesome. Yeah, the first cruise when we first met, yeah, you were one of the first people that I met because I'd never been on a cruise. There at the time, did I care about going to a cruise? It didn't really cross my mind until Chris talked about it or flirted with the idea to the people about doing the cruise. And then I didn't know what to expect. The moment he advertised the cruise, his name was on it. I was like, okay, despite what's going on, I'm going to get on it. I got to get on it one way or another. And then lo and behold, I booked it. I went with my mom that she decided to tag along. And then we waited for like 13 months, just around there. And that was my mindset, like 24/7, even before even like the talk was the cruise. My mindset was the cruise. Like I can't wait. I was counting the days down. I was just so excited. And then the moment I arrived to my first time in Miami, I went, like, it was just amazing. It was like the first, like when, like in the movie Titanic, where they just saw the ship, the first analogy
to use on a cruise, but it's okay.
So that was the only way I could think of, and I was mind blown about it. And then that's when we were like, checking in. That's where I saw you, because you noticed my shirt. I had a Jimmy shirt, like you said. We were representing where we come from, and I had the Jimmy shirt because I've always been like the people at Jimmy's Famous Seafood. Shout out, that I was there, that I had to represent them, just because I have so much love there. And you notice a lot of wrestlers, when they go into Baltimore, the first place they go to is Jimmy Famous Seafood. And then one of the first people I showed up was you.
Buddy. Yeah.
And we talked from there. You talk about the crab cakes. You talk about the time you met Braun Strowman about wanting to go to Jimmy's.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to talk. And then you were the expert, someone of an expert of cruise expertise. you told me about having a good time on the cruise, which I'm just like, okay, yeah, the cruise is like it's worth it and all that. I did not know what to expect. I knew there was gonna be podcasts, I knew there was gonna be wrestling, but we just didn't know how, where, because we didn't know this was the first of something. There was wrestling cruises back in the day, well, like the first cruise and Wrestle Vessel, but it's just them hanging out. But we didn't know there's gonna be concerts. I didn't never been to a cruise before, but I seen how. But when we got there, wrestling on the boat, I heard of concerts on the boat, but it was just mind blowing, and I didn't want the first cruise to end. And then even the people that recognized me just right there, which is, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but people was like, hey Walter, or someone in the conversation, Walter, and I'm like, hey, how's it going?
The guy who was so quiet.
I was just mind blown.
Yeah.
Not exactly. Quiet, so I was just so mind blown.
Yeah.
It was I didn't know what to expect. What's that?
That's the way the cruises become. Like first cruise, you were fine 10 minutes on the ship because I saw you at the Sail Away concert. And I said, "How you doing?" I like reached out like thumbs up, and you like you were. But now everybody knows each other on the ship.
Now it has become from the first cruise. On the first cruise, I always tell people, if people always ask me, or I always tell people, the first cruise will always be my favorite cruise, just because it was something we didn't know what to expect, right. And it was just so original. Now, after that cruise, the second, third, fourth, five, it became a summer camp thing where we all know each other. I've known you thanks to the cruise. I've known you thanks to Chris Jericho. I know you. People know, and I know we talk about Daz. We know Jamal. I've known them because of the cruise. We all get excited to see each other, have a good time, and that's what the cruise is about. It's about having a good time, to get all of our minds, whatever we have personally. This is an escape for us, and to have a blast and enjoy music and enjoy wrestling, and just let alone have a good time and forget all of our problems, what we have. And things like that. It's just that it's our Christmas, so to speak.
No, it's the best way to put it, because it really is like an escape from. It's adult summer camp. I used that line with Desi the other night. It's funny you said that, and he was like, "That's exactly it." Like, for me, yeah, it was one of those, like, I'm lucky. I live 40 minutes from the port. Not that you live that far a flight away, but I was like, "What's my excuse not to go?"
Right.
And then you said it perfectly with the 13-month wait or 14-month. But he did such a good job before that first cruise of at least once a week we got an email of some type of announcement about the cruise itself, about a talent that was going to be on it. The excitement was kept there up until, and I told the story the other night. I don't know if you heard it or if I told you in the past about when I saw Chris and Fozzy a month before the first cruise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've told you that story or not.
Maybe so, but let's tell the people out there just a reminder.
If you didn't hear the story the other night, or you're hearing it for the first time, so basically a month before the first cruise, Fozzy did the last show of that tour. So it's 2018 in Fort Lauderdale. I couldn't make it to the concert that night, but Fozzy did a signing at a record store. All you had to do was buy a CD or a record, and you got it signed. So you basically just had to go through each band member, and then Chris was at the end. So I'm going through it. I'm meeting Billy. I'm meeting at the end. At that time it was Randy there. Mm-hmm. Frank, the drummer. Meet Rich Ward, and we're talking about the cruise a little. And it was the day after the schedule came out for the first cruise. I was blown away by the schedule. I was like, "This is insane." And now it's even crazier, the schedule, which I'm sure we'll get into later. And I was saying to them, "I see you guys are doing the Sail Away," and Billy wasn't sure or whatever, and they're all like, "Yeah, Kiss cruise? What cruise?" And they're tired from the show the night before, and they had to get up for this signing. But Chris overhears that and was like, "We're not doing Kiss cruise. You're doing my cruise." So I get to Chris, and he's like, "You're going on the cruise?" I said, "Yeah." I said, as a gift to myself, birthday gift. I booked it. So he was asking, when did you turn 40? When did you book the cruise? And I had my reservation with me because he signed my reservation. And he goes, "You're an OG." Because you can always say, "No, you've supported it from the beginning. I can't thank you enough." And then I was so impressed with him was, listen, I know he put a lot of work into it. I expected that, but he knew the schedule had come out the day before. Because he brings it up to me. He goes, "Did you get the schedule yesterday? Is there enough shit for you to do?" And we joked about that. So I said, "All right, this guy's on point." So that's how the cruise a month before. I was already pumped. Then that happened. I'll have to text you a picture sometime of the reservation he signed. So that was it for me. The first cruise was magical, man. Everyone's been awesome since. I just think after the first cruise, the last three from the most recent, every cruise is getting better and better. My favorite was the first, but the last two and then three have been my favorite. The COVID cruise.
The COVID cruise. Pretty much it was the COVID.
Oh, sorry. Orange Cone, thank you so much, man. We're going to have to collaborate sometime because I love talking cruising. Walter can tell you that. So much Orange Cone.
Hey, Orange Cone Lock. So,
Orange Cone. Not Orange Cassidy, Orange Cone.
No, I always tell people to, like, okay, if I had to choose the second one, it would be, for me, the second cruise would also be my second runner-up. It's always great on their own right, but first 1 and 2 is my second. 1 and 2 is my second favorite because it felt like an AEW cruise, so to speak, because it had more AEW talent. It was basically around AEW, and this was before COVID and before we even heard the word coronavirus. So
2 months before, 3 months, 2 months,
just
before,
about,
right? Yeah,
right. Yeah, even when we landed on the deck, even when we landed back to Miami, the first thing I see is coronavirus. Oh, just another virus that they're talking about.
There was revolution after that. There were some. We had the cruise in January, and then COVID. I hate talking about that time.
Right. No, but so
about 2-3 months before the world shut down.
Before the shutdown, but it was just talk a couple of times here and there, about when we landed back. But it was just talks at the time. But it started spreading and gotten worse. But at the time, it was just like I couldn't even shut up about the second cruise. It was just a magical moment right there. I loved it. Like I just. It was.
I know why you're saying this. I thought to cut you off. Sorry. I know why you're saying this. You're being humble, but I want to see if you say it.
It was just everything about it still was just amazing. Like I was like, I'm glad I made a decision coming back, and then I loved it so much. I just kept going and going, just like the Energizer Bunny, just kept going and going. But yeah, everything was. It was now at this point. Now we're at this point that we're going regardless of who's going to be on it talent wise, because we know we're curiosity. Yes, we're gonna know low key. Let's be honest. We're all gonna know who's gonna. We're curious who's gonna show up. We are curious, but at the same time, we don't really care because we're just gonna have a good time. We just want to know who's gonna be there as far as talent goes, just so they can have a good time too. You know, I mean, they're people just like us, but at the same time, I want them. But I just want to be like, oh God, is Cordeo's gonna be there? That's so awesome. Or Big Show's gonna be there? That's gonna be so awesome. You know, like it's just more of a.
It is.
Exactly.
What I'm trying to say is, like, let's say you're all hanging out with your friends and you're hanging out, just because the Big Show walks by, nobody stops what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything Chris said going into that first cruise, he couldn't be any more accurate. And I'm putting him over, but he deserves it. Like he said, man, maybe the first day you might see me and go, oh, cool, that's Chris Jericho. And then the second day, maybe. By third, fourth, we're all friends and we all know each other.
Pretty much, it's always been that way. It is. It's just we're just getting a little excited who gets advertised. For instance, I mean, it sucked that we got an email earlier today about the Nasty Boys had to cancel. Mm-hmm. It sucks because he was supposed to do a podcast with those two, but he put Ernest the Cat Miller, which is I didn't even know he was on the boat, and I'm excited to see that podcast happening. You know, I mean, it's just things like that. There's so much things to improvise too, and like it's always something to do as well. Q&As, comedy. I mean, how many times has Brad Williams showed up? He showed up 5 times on the cruise. The 5 times, including the 6th one is coming up. It's just so many things. We always get so many, like even low key. Like if I'm in the if I'm driving in the car and I'm hearing 80s music, I'm hearing, oh, that's the song Guardians of the Jukebox going to play. So I'm excited for this. So
Like,
that's how it's
it's
always
amazing the
been that.
community it's built with them as well. Like Rich Ward has told me, like it's his favorite week of the year. For those of you who don't know, Rich Ward's lead guitarist for Fozzy and Guardians of the Jukebox, Duck Mojo, everything. Walter will tell you he's as good as they come. He's like, I get to know you guys now, and then people show up at his shows, and it's from the cruise. It's a special community now. Like, it's so hard to describe it unless you've been on it once, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. You understand if you've been on it. There's just, and I love how he sets it up that you can't do everything.
Right.
Some people like Walter try to hit everything and do everything. Even Walter gets stumped a little. And so, what are some of your Jericho Cruise memories from the years?
Jericho Cruise memories. Okay, I'm gonna have to start with the first one. The first
Anything
one in my mindset, it's just okay. So the first one would have to be the first time when the ship started set sailing, when Fozzy started performing, and then that's when you knew it was real. Like he shows up and you're seeing how mind blown he is, what he created, and all of what he created, and all the people just thanking him of what he's done. And it's just something about that aura that happened that night, and it was just a feeling for him which is mind blown. And then I would have to go with like that night, at the very last night when I was with the Burn Me Out, when everybody was jumping up to Burn Me Out. That was with a bunch of fans, and I was like, wow, I'm looking at that. I'm like being mind blown myself about it. And there's other stuff too. Like, I really like the second night when Marco's son was singing Sunglasses Night, and then he sang with us when he jumped in the crowd. He cross-surfed us. And then personally, there was the time when I got the Jericho Cruise title on the triple whammy, and that was worth it doing that, because it was just like I never really collect titles, but I had to collect this one just because it has his name on it. I know there are very steep prices to pay to do that, but that was worth it just to see that, and I have that in my possession, and just things like that. I mean, what else? There's so many things. Even just having a blast with friends, seeing you all, seeing Des, seeing Jamal, so many names, etc. I mean, John Howell and Mike Davis, who I'm going to be rooming with in this upcoming cruise. It's just I don't even know what to expect, but I know I'm going to expect to have a good time. But I don't even memorable wise. I can't wait to see what we have in store. It's just because there's just way so much more that can count as far as having a good time.
Yeah, and what I love is you don't have to be. That's why so many people say to me, I'm not a huge wrestling fan. I couldn't go on that. I'm like, you will still have the best time. Who doesn't like music? Who doesn't like comedy? Who doesn't like to gamble? Who doesn't like to hang out at a bar, even if you don't drink? I mean, there's 50 million things to do.
So the first cruise, everybody knew that I went with my mom. So my mom, she likes wrestling, but this was in her WWE bubble, so she didn't know who the Young Bucks were or Kenny Omega. She knew Cody because Cody Rhodes was in WWE prior to him going to after leaving WWE. You know, like now that he's back now, but like after the Stardust thing and all that stuff. She only knew that. She obviously knew Chris Jericho, and then a couple prior WWE names, but she never really know about Ring of Honor, and she had a good time just because it's a cruise, and that was her first cruise as well. Like you said, you didn't have to like wrestling to get on this boat because there's just so much to do in that boat. Regardless, you don't even feel like you're on a boat. It's just something you get to experience. I'm actually happy because about this one, and I like when they always change the destinations where we're going. Because last time, we were in Cozumel, Mexico. I've never been to Mexico before. I want to say I set foot in Mexico. We're going to Dominican Republic this time. I've never been to Dominican Republic. I want to say I've been to there. I want to say I've been there. I've never been to the Bahamas at the time. and I said I did now. So there's just so many things like I like to like explore while I'm there.
That's awesome, man. Like, I mean, for me, it's just, I mean, everything fell into place in all these cruises, just how good a time. But I think the cruise now is in such a groove, and he has it down to a science now.
Yeah, he go ahead.
No, just how he has it organized, how he has it run. Because Six Man, the company that he uses, had no wrestling experience.
Right in the beginning of the
now look at them.
We didn't know. I didn't think they knew as far as Six Man didn't know what to expect on the first cruise about organizing and things like that. But now we're at number 6 now, and they're more now. They know more now, a lot more now compared to what they're doing from as far as being organized from the signings and meet and greets and all that fun nature.
I know they got so much flack on the first cruise for the signings about people didn't know about it, and it was so unfair. But to their credit, they took it in stride, the criticism, and they made it better. Because all you had to do in that first cruise was they give you like a newsletter every day in your cabin, and there it was. This time here, these people. It couldn't have been spelled out anymore. And I think I wasn't sure where something was. I asked somebody, they told me.
It's more like that because even let alone that's life in general where you kind of don't know what you're doing, but you learn from your mistakes and you learn from everything else behind it. I guess that works similar to what they do. That's kind of similar from the cruise aspect of why things got a little just a bit disorganized, but now they know what to do now from the second cruise, third cruise. Now they know what to do.
Signings before on their
what's that?
On their music cruises, they don't do signings.
No, that's see,
part of it.
That's the thing. I never seen them. Yeah, I mean that's just different. I mean, have you done other themed cruises? Have you?
No,
I assume
just regular cruises. Jericho cruise is the only theme cruise I've ever done. I'd like to go on the Creed cruise, which is through Six Man, but it's been sold out for a year.
Okay. Oh, so this was the only theme cruise you ever done, as far as
yeah.
As far as okay. So
I've done a million other regular cruises. Orange Con Vlog, tell me about this theme cruise, man. I'd love to learn more about it and talk with you about it. But yeah, this was it. So when I went back to regular cruising after it, man, it was not a struggle. Like I was grateful to be on a cruise and relax, but I'm like, wow, there's no wrestling at deck 12, and I don't have 18 rock and roll bands and 10 million things going on all the time. This is it changes your mind a little bit when you cruise after that.
Oh, okay.
I still love cruising. I still love it. I still do it. But you're spoiled in the Jericho cruise.
I could tell. Even just I've never been to any other cruises other than Chris's cruise. I thought about the going on the Disney cruise, F that boat, but
you got to tell the story now. I know what you're talking about. You got to tell that story. First cruise. Come on now.
So basically, we were in the Bahamas or something, or just about.
We were in Nassau.
And basically, when all the boats dock and head to their destination, for the cruise, they so I guess we were parked next to Disney Cruise. No, not even Disney Cruise. It was a couple other cruises like between us, and then all the other people from the other boats were looking at us.
During the
like
Corey
they were
Taylor
just looking
concert,
at
right?
What's that?
During the Corey Taylor Slipknot concert.
It was during Corey Taylor's. I remember that. Yeah. And then everybody was singing. Everybody was like looking at us, and we were just chanting, since us wrestling fans are like the most wild and can be a little rabid sometimes. But they just say, but next thing you know, you'd be like, F that boat, F that boat, F that boat. Our boat's better. So it was just
that boat. They're staring at us like on a Disney ship, like, what are these people doing? It was the best. And I was talking to my friend who Dre. And he was next to me, and we're laughing so hard because it happened out of nowhere. So I said, I bet if word gets to Jericho and people, they won't care. So he gets on the microphone because remember he does announcements on the ship at times where he'll say, "I'll be here" or "This is going on." He's so involved, and he goes, "I heard you all were chanting on the top deck, awesome," or something. It's happened once or twice since, but not to like that first one. Like you had to be there on that first one. But that's the thing, also, man. It's a great lead-in. Is how many things have come out of that cruise? Catchphrases, wrestlers with a new gimmick or something that cruise has spurned. It's unbelievable. For wrestling fans, the Ass Boys that Colton in Austin, that nickname that you've heard on Dynamite or Collision a million times, started on the Jericho cruise. Britt Baker's stuff. I don't know if I can talk about her. Started on the Jericho cruise. A lot of her heel stuff and catchphrases. I know I'm missing a few. But it's incredible how just that boat has spurned so much. And I got to put him over, Red Cup Jeff, who I'm sure you know really well.
Red Cup.
Red Cup, we love you, buddy. He made a great point to me when I saw him a few weeks ago. He said, look at how many people have gone from this cruise who were maybe like this in wrestling in AEW are now this and became champs and have had heck of a run. Obviously, Chris knows he's got his pulse on everything, but it's just a credit to him and the ship.
He's done a lot, and he's gotten a lot of people over because of that. Like you said, there was the match with when Swerve was performing at that rap concert last time, right?
Yeah.
That was great concert. I even saw him when I was in New York City when I went to go see Fozzy for New York City, and Swerve opened up to him. It was still a great concert, but just seeing that in concert on the boat was just you saw how over Swerve was. And then a couple months later, AEW champion.
Right. He went from it was like a 4:00 concert on the pool deck. Towards the end of the day, people are just hanging out. He does a concert. He's main eventing AEW All In London. A champ, like 5 months after. That's just a credit to the cruise. That's why I'm so glad you said before, man, and I can't agree with you anymore about I really don't care who the wrestlers are on this ship. Yeah, there's some I'd like to see. I'm like anybody else, but I would rather have talent come on the ship who wants to be there and is there. Obviously, they have to work, but just to have a good time as well. The second cruise, and I'm not being critical, had the A-Team because they were filming Dynamite. And a lot of them didn't really want to partake in stuff and hang out at night and do things. Where the third cruise that people ripped before the cruise, even though it was a COVID cruise and it was hard to put a cruise together, those wrestlers went above and beyond, did more than they were asked to do, hung out with the fans, and that's carried over on the last two cruises since. So that's what I say. I'd rather a wrestler who wants to be there and have a good time versus like a main eventer who doesn't want to be there. Same for the Legends too,
right? Because that's just
anyone. But second cruise, I noticed that a little bit.
I noticed, yeah, because you had your main eventers, you had your Kenny Omega, MJF, and the Young Bucks, which you don't even see them at all. I mean, maybe they had a good time, sure, I don't know, but like you said, like I don't even.
You guys aren't going to hang out. It's not their thing,
right? And then I look at them and okay, like you said, like I said earlier as well, like I just said, okay, well, okay, I'm more curious just to see who's going to be on a boat. Maybe I want to see Saraya on the boat, which she's my favorite in the women's division.
Yeah. Well, you had a date with her.
Exactly, and I want to see her on the boat. Well, I mean, will she show up eventually? Maybe. If she does, cool. If she doesn't, she doesn't. But Harley Cameron, she's next to all over hers as well. She's like one of my favorites as well. I'm going to see her. I'm excited to see her.
She's doing a concert this time.
She's doing a concert this time. Last time she was there too, and she was just amazing as well with the whole improv with RJ City. I got to meet RJ City. I love what he does and on the boat. It's just something about it. It's just like when he does these improvs, now it's starting to be the thing I look forward to seeing. Even when he's a very nice guy too. So, and plus, I don't know if you ever got in a picture with him, but he does this cute pose when he does this, like when he takes a selfie.
Yeah.
What's that?
RJ City?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago over the summer. I'm sorry.
If you take a picture with him, if you'd be like, "Hey, Archie, can I get a picture with you?" He'll do the pose. Like,
really,
he will do the pose.
Yeah, I was in Chicago over the summer, and that was a perfect lead-in, man. You're really teeing it up nicely for me tonight. I was in Chicago over the summer. Dynamite was there, so the night before, I find out Colt Cabana was having something at a comedy club. So I said, "Well, I'm not doing anything. I'll go." So it was advertised like Colt Cabana and Friends. First thing Colt says is, "How many of you have been on the Jericho cruise before?" I think I might have been the only one to raise my hand. I can't remember. So he says we did an ad-lib show, me and RJ was right there. And we decided, Colt said, well, I decided why not do this in my hometown the night when I know wrestling fans are here. And they did something close to, not as good as the cruise, because he had to get who he could get, and a lot of people were delayed weather-wise. But it was awesome. And that was a total result of the Jericho cruise. That's what I said, man. This thing carries on. There's always something out of that cruise that you see after the cruise, be it on a Dynamite episode, be it on a pro wrestling T-shirt from a Fun Time Tony with Santino Marella. That catchphrase that caught, for those who don't know that story, Santino Marella, who was awesome on the last ship, on the fifth one, explained that we had the sail away toast and a shot, and Six Man was passing out shots, and he was a little nervous to take a shot. He goes, well, I used to go on the rehabilitation for alcohol, and because I become Fun Time Tony. And he took the shot anyway, but the whole cruise chanting Fun Time Tony, Fun Time Tony. I saw him once on the ship, and I was like, you need to get a T-shirt made of this. He's like, you think so? I said, you'd be surprised. It went on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Oh.
So the cruise has just spurned its own thing. Always.
Absolutely. You're talking about how you saw someone talk about the aftermath of the Jericho cruise. So after the first Jericho cruise, like that weekend afterwards, like we left on a Thursday or just something like that. And then on that Saturday, Jimmy's was hosting Eric Bischoff and Conrad Tossin, talking about 83. They're doing an 83 weeks live at Jimmy's. I just came from the cruise. I'm not gonna miss the Jimmy's thing because that looks pretty fun. I never met Eric Bischoff, and then I'm rocking the Jericho Cruise shirt, and then I got asked by Conrad Thompson and Bischoff, "Hey, so you went to the Jericho Cruise?" I'm like, "I did. I just came from the Jericho Cruise." He's like, "How was it?" They just asked me, "How was it?" It was a blast. It was an amazing time. You should go. Lo and behold, Eric Bischoff shows up on the second year before his bashing at AEW. So he I mean, I guess I hope he had a good time at the time, but after the 83 weeks live podcast live was just as fun. And then next thing you know, I went to if you've been to Jimmy's before, so if you've gone to the bar downstairs, I was gonna go to the bar downstairs and then just to get a drink or so. And then lo and behold, I saw Shoot to Thrill right after the boat. Really? And they were at Jimmy's.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just saw you at the boat. So we just hugged and talked about the boat, and it's just something about seeing, just like if I see you, even let alone when you come to Jimmy's for the talking shop, it's just something about seeing from faces from the cruise is just amazing, because you see old faces that you've been hanging out for like a week.
Yeah, it feels like
every year, and then it's just rare and have a good.
After the fourth cruise, Guardians of the Jukebox was here like maybe 15 minutes from me. So I'm there, I'm hanging out, and I'm telling the guy I was on the Jericho cruise, so I've met Rich before, and I knew. I said they were all there, but I know Rich and now Grant. So after the show, he goes, "So why don't you come backstage and say hi to Rich?" And Rich sees me and goes, "Bring him in, bring him in." That would never happen without the Jericho cruise. I went to AEW All In London, I'm leaving Wembley, and Grant Brooks, drummer for Fozzy. I mean, I'm saying it to everybody I know, you know,
Yeah.
is walking right in front of me with security. So I just said, "Hey, Grant, what's up?" He goes, "Hey, man." He starts walking over towards me, and security kind of like starts to grab him. He goes, "I know that guy. I'm gonna go say hi to him." And talked for like 30 seconds, and I didn't want him to get stuck there. That's all the cruise.
Right.
Yeah, all the cruise. Maybe they meet people at meet and greets before shows, but the cruise is a different animal because you get to
It
know
really
people.
is. It's
See it like you're all just regular people there. It's just so cool.
something about there's some intimacy behind it, like on the cruise, like when you're there, and like family. We're family when we see each other, and then outside the cruise, it's just it's where we are family still. We still like, and then it's just more like it's just more. It just hits home when you do see each other. Say when I saw you, for instance, at the Philly show at the ECW Arena one time, and then at the Ring of Honor show, and then you were at Talking Shop at Jimmy's, the same as
Yeah.
Seafood. Something about that was just like it's someone from the cruise. Like how often do we get to see each other? Even I see other people when I was at WrestleMania and I saw cruise faces. I was just happy to see them just because they're from the cruise. You know, it was just something about that. It just makes it so intimate about that, and we met so many people. Like, and then we still keep in touch to this day.
Yeah, exactly. That's been the special thing about the cruise, and you run into somebody from the cruise, and you have something. It's because I remember when Jericho started the cruise, he said, "I wanted to be like Kiss, where hopefully for some people it's a yearly tradition." And if you look at the pictures of the people who have been there on every cruise, it's a good 25, 30 people there every time, maybe more. I might be selling it shortly, but it's a lot of people who've been on everyone. Um, but nobody plays that
Mm-hmm.
well. Everyone, you've only been on two. Nobody cares. Um, I don't know what. So okay, we talked about how awesome the cruise, our past cruise experiences have been, and like I say, without Chris Jericho on this cruise, I don't know you. Probably don't know you
Mm-hmm.
unless we started chatting that night at Talking Shop, Baltimore, randomly that night. But it's funny because I worked. I mean, to give you a story, Rocky Romero, who we chatted with on the cruise, he's a good friend of mine. That name drop, a good friend of mine. When during the pandemic, when we were in our Zooms all the time, I was always driving them crazy. I was always talking about the Jericho cruise. Always, I just love it. Like, and I'm always talking about it and how awesome it was. And Rocky one night finally said, "Dude, really, how is that cruise?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's the best 4 days. I'm telling you, you would love it." And he goes, "Okay, okay." He was on the last two, and he said everything you said about that cruise. People were cool. So much stuff to do. Even if you were never a cruiser, you're still gonna have a good time there. Um, so we talked about cruise memories, just how special it is, and like I'm telling you, this guy right here, he's passionate. Like Desi, he is 12 months a year, 24 hours a day, passionate about this cruise. He's one of the OGs. But Walter, on this upcoming cruise, anything in particular you're looking forward to?
Well, like I said earlier about Harley Cameron, that I'm excited to see her because she's like one of my favorites. I'm excited to see her concert. I'm excited to see that one.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see typical Fozzy like rocking it like they always do. It's like they always like them. I'm excited to see what they're gonna play, what songs to rock. I know. Like as far as the second night, we know it's all cover songs. First night or third night, I'm excited to just rock it, regardless of like everything. What else? Guardians. I'm excited to see. Maybe I'll stumble in Brad Williams' stuff. What else am I?
You got to go see
the
Brad.
wrestling. Yeah. I do see Brad. I have seen Brad in this, even with the times when he came here. I have seen his stuff, and I wore my cruise shirt just so it's a flag to say, hey, I was on the cruise too. But
It's like a badge of honor. It really is.
It is.
Yeah.
And then
I saw Mark Henry about a month ago. He was on with the fourth cruise.
Just about.
The fourth cruise.
Yes.
And I said to him,
yes.
I chatted with you in the Jericho cruise. He's like, oh, I'm gonna go on again. I gotta go on again. He's like, not this one. I'll do the one after. It wasn't even like, yeah, cool, the Jericho cruise. It was, yeah, I got to do it again. And this is coming from Mark Henry, who's not like the most social guy. He was very nice that day, but he's not like the most social guy.
I could tell,
Even he was like, people didn't really bother him. Now, if Mark Henry doesn't want to talk to you, you're not going to really stop him. But I think the wrestlers realize, man, but Jay Lethal. I was at the night before I saw you in Philadelphia. It's a great story. I was wearing this shirt at Final Battle, and it was like a month after the Jericho cruise. And he said to me, "Did you have fun?" I said, "I had the best time." And he goes, I was a little hesitant going into the cruise, thinking, "Oh God, I'm going to get bothered for 4 days, and I can't really hide on a cruise ship." He goes, "Man, by day 2, I was almost telling people, please, yes, you can take a picture with me. Sure, I'm happy to talk to you." He goes, because people just didn't bother us. That's the best compliment I can give on the cruise. I mean, nobody bothers the wrestlers or the band.
Really
they blend in like everybody else.
And no one really does. Yeah.
It does
no
create.
One really does. That's the thing. Oh, absolutely.
Chris tells all the wrestlers, apparently. He tells them, trust me, you're going to have the best time.
Because at the time, okay, Grant said, yes, you'll see big names and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just, Trail of Mexican. Yeah, you do have to get on the cruise.
I met him before. It's Salvador. He was on cruise 3.
Oh, he's Salvadoran?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Salvador.
He's Mexican.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I always tell, like, even at the time, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a fan too. I mark out a bit, just a bit. I'm still a fan, but like even now, like it's just more of a he's there. I mean, it's cool, If we talk, sure, Other than that, I don't really bother them. Even because I'm just like, because they're just having a good time. I'm just doing my thing now.
That's what it is. The first couple cruises,
absolutely,
like, oh, cool. By the third, fourth, fifth cruise, nobody cares. Especially the third one, where it was so few passengers because of COVID and not a lot of full capacity. And people just partied and had a good time. That was the one where the wrestlers were telling other wrestlers, like, you really need to do this cruise.
Right, even though third cruise was a little iffy because we were like one of the first people during COVID.
We were the first cruise on NCL. Post COVID. That's why it was a disaster boarding the ship for so many people.
Yeah, and I had to miss. This was on my birthday weekend, so I had to miss. There were signings happening. Like Will Ospreay was there, Kurt Angle was there around the area before the cruise, and then it was on my birthday, and I was like, okay, I gotta be quarantined these few days just to suck it up so I could get on the cruise.
Right.
Just so that way so we get tested twice and booster shots and all that stuff just to get on the boat. Now for me, it's just more of a struggle of trying to lose weight or try to slim down just a bit just to get on the boat. I'm not just saying just to get on the boat, but at least trying to say I get to eat what I want and reward myself when I'm on the boat.
No, absolutely.
It's just more of that. And I know it's going to be worth it next week.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's the fun part is when you like you said.
Did you know?
The Sail Away concert is when it gets real. When they come out and do that toast, and when it comes out for the first song. I mean, you're on the ship and you're obviously there, but it's something about that Sail Away concert that you're like.
There's something about the Sail Away. It's here's what I'll tell you. What's it about? What's it about? It was more about like you're rocking it. You're just having a good time, and then you start noticing the ship moving. You start noticing buildings moving. You start noticing trees moving, and you're like, "Okay, we're moving. This is it. This is Sail Away. We're going now. It's just now it's real. Now it's having a good time." And then when the concert's over, you see how far you at. You see.
I know, and all of a sudden, because because so many people said to me, like I had a friend who I met on the last cruise. He was from like South Dakota. He'd never been on a cruise, so they're asking me when we're pulling out, like, so I guess by 10 o'clock tonight we can go gamble. And I'm like, oh. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, half an hour. We're going to be in international waters, and everything will open on the ship. So it's funny because the first cruise I noticed so many people had never cruised before, which is cool. And you would hear people say, man, I got to have 3 breakfasts this morning. I can't believe I have a buffet at all times, and it's all included. That's the great thing about the cruise that people don't talk about, that I try telling people, is once you pay, you're done. You don't pay for the meet and greets. You don't pay for food unless you do like a specialty thing. Mm-hmm. But the regular stuff is all included. And it's just all you pay for is your drinks.
Right. It's always, yeah, that's the thing. It's all makes it so inclusive. So that way you get to have basically a pizza at 2 a.m. or chicken nuggets at 2 a.m. So it's always worth it, you know. Like I'm a foodie. I'm a foodie, Jeremy, and I just love to. And those buffets like one of my favorite parts. Just to go on the boat was the buffet. So
it's also an experience in that buffet every time.
Exactly.
You're running into somebody. You're always seeing. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff happen in the buffet area.
Really? Now, no, I never
do something.
I've always seen the faces. Even I sat next to Kurt Angle. I wanted to talk to Kurt Angle, but my voice was gone at the time. I'd be like, "Hey, Kurt." And I'm like, "Oh, jeez, I cannot."
That's funny.
So it was just, I just love to eat. I mean, but other than that, I just go for the food. I mean, even I like to go out on the deck while eating outside and looking at the beautiful view at the ocean. How often do you get to see the ocean out there? It's something about seeing it just like natural. Something feels just like I don't know, maybe you were one with the universe, I guess I want to say.
Yeah, like I remember like early in one of the cruises I saw you at the buffet. It was like 2 a.m. and you're like, hell, I'm gonna take some pizza to my room. And I was like, welcome to cruising, buddy. And you're like, this is awesome. But yeah, hey man, you're humble.
Even once
the story, second cruise, Walter's a humble dude. I'm gonna put him over here, but it's the absolute truth. Chris Jericho leading into a Fozzy song. Well, it was not covers night. I think it was maybe the last night Fozzy concert. You'll know where I'm going real quickly. And he says, we're gonna do an old school song right now. And look who's in the front row. Walter. Chris Jericho says Walter in the front row. He goes, Walter is an OG Fozzy fan, been there since the beginning. Walter, you're one of the people I'm dedicating this song to. Walter's humble. I'm not gonna tell that story. I was right by him. And Walter was trying to keep his composure. I mean, that'd be like Hulk Hogan being on stage saying, "But Jeremy, blah blah blah," for me. But how cool was that moment for you, man?
I was mind blown. I was like, yeah. I just didn't know. I was lost in words because he's telling this to like all the people watching, like on that boat, like a couple of thousand people watching. It's just, I was speechless. I was, I'm not gonna say bashful, but just more like,
no, be honest.
Like, right. I'm just trying to be, like, I was speechless. I just loved it. It was just an unspeakable happiness right there. I mean, awesome. I loved it. And I held that dear to my heart. Like that afterwards, just like the next day too. I was just happy. Like I was emotional inside. I loved it. I mean,
yeah. I know I'm bringing up a big memory for you, but it's one of my memories. I remember being right there when that happened.
Right, I remember. I was just like, after so much, I dedicate my life to him and everything, like everything in my life and my like teachings and everything, attitude, everything, like the way I dress, the way I listen, the music I listen to, how I react, my mannerism was from him, and I'm just showing how much he appreciates that, and I wish I could do something. Like, wish I could do better, more, or something, or to show my appreciation to him, because
You
everything
too,
I've done
bro.
is my
You
appreciation to
too.
him,
I disagree,
and I
man.
really.
You're being humble. I'm gonna be a heel here. You've been on every cruise. You've drove to meet and greets to meet him. You've gone to how many Fozzy shows? More than I can probably count. Dude, you are like like a legit fan and not a crazy one. And I mean that
Mhm.
like in the best way possible. Like I respect you as a fan. Like it's cool he's had an influence on you like this in a great way.
Thank
Like we did the I think you sent me the video. No, you posted on Facebook, of course. Like you were at Jimmy Seafood on like I don't know if it was open mic day or something, and you did in a Chris Jericho voice. What's up, Jimmy Seafood?
you. Oh
In a
yeah.
Jericho voice, and I remember I must have rewound it and watched it like 10, 15 times that day. Even the guy this, he went, oh, but it was so spot on. I was rolling, man.
Even afterwards on my birthday, when I went to New York City, and on the last concert they did in for the 25th anniversary, I got to sing with Chris Jericho, sing with Fozzy. I just was in the moment right there. Like I was just like, wow, I'm on stage with them. I'm like rocking with them. I never thought this would even happen. I was maybe like I could dream, sure, and then wow, it just happened. Like I just loved it. And there's just more at the time. Even I just have to remember the words and not to get stage right. But I was just it was just a great moment. It was just an amazing moment. Just them that I get to rock with them too.
I think the cruise has spearheaded um, so much of these experiences for you lately
What's that?
because I think the cruise has spearheaded so much of these Jericho and Fozzy memories you've had
Mm-hmm.
on and off the ship. Obviously on, but off the ship too. Which I mean, look what he's created. In a way, he's like brought us into his world.
He
For
has, and
4
I've
days
always
we won't forget.
he really has, and this is his world. I like to think that good way to put it that he did. Because I even tell people now, I was like, after the first cruise, I just tell people, you know what, this is my WrestleMania. I
Better.
prefer this over WrestleMania. Not to bash WWE and WrestleMania because they're doing so great, but I prefer the cruise than WrestleMania itself.
Same here. If I have to pick,
Mm-hmm.
and this year I kind of did, um, it wasn't even a question. And money aside, everything aside, because people always say, "Well, dollars, dollars." This. I'm just talking about for the pure experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about how the Jericho Cruise does a great payment plan where you can pay monthly. I'm just talking about for the pure experience. I don't think you can beat the Jericho Cruise, man. I really don't. And the value you get is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Memories for a lifetime, man. That's what I say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been to four WrestleManias. I've been to four WrestleManias. Not and the one that came to Philly. I've only done the WrestleMania like the WrestleCons, but I never went to WrestleMania since. And it's just a great experience. But even going back to the cruise is just something I look forward to the most. I get more invested on about going to the cruise, and then and now today is just compared to the first one. I always count down the clock of when was the first when is this cruise coming. This one is just more like it hits me when it gets closer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It hits me when it gets closer now. It's just like it's real now. We're getting there. We're getting there. You know, it's just I
Well,
just now I know it's coming. It's sinking in, and by this time next week, well, you live in Florida, but this time next week, I'll be in Florida, rocking
no,
it. I'm
we'll
just
be in
excited.
international waters.
We'll be in international waters by this time.
International waters. Hopefully, we have just finished. God willing, we've just finished the Fozzy concert.
Mm-hmm.
There's some wrestling going on the pool deck, and 10 million other things. And
Mm-hmm.
we're sailing, God willing, at this time. That's why I wanted to get you on like the week before, man. And hope to get you on the week after. So I know I'm sounding like talk is Jericho here. We're winding down here.
As we start to wind down here,
Start to wind down here, Walter. I did that with Desi the other night, and they were cracking up. So Desi brought up the Rumble the other night. I know we're totally shifting
mm-hmm.
gears, but since they gave me their opinions on the Rumble, I want to get your opinion too, because I know you're a wrestling fan all around.
I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't followed WWE like I used to since AEW came in the picture, or but I have just by seeing social media and all that. I just noticed I do see what's going on social media, you know, with Seth Rollins, CM Punk, you know, all that fun stuff. Like John Cena's gonna be in the Rumble and he's doing his retirement tour, all that. And as far as prediction goes, maybe John Cena will win. There's no secret people that knew that I wasn't much of a fan of John Cena back then. I was kind of an anti-Cena hater at the time. So so, but if he's retiring, great, you know, because he's done a lot now. I feel like he will probably win this one, and then he will probably. And as far as prediction as to what's going to happen, well, there's talks about Joe Henry since he's advertised to be on the boat. He might. I mean, people might say this too, and maybe it sounds cliche, but you know what people say sometimes, but this is just an opinion. He might show up the Rumble, and he might show up the Rumble. I mean, I don't know who's going to see the Rumble on the boat. I mean, if they're going to see, if they're going to watch it there on the boat, part to them. What's that?
Yeah, they can't. I mean, themselves, they can't show it. And guess what? I could care less.
Right. I mean, they can watch it. I don't know. I mean, to each their own. If they're going to watch the Rumble,
if they pay for the streaming Wi-Fi, they can get it, but the ship is not going to provide it for us.
Right. But people who have hovered and watched the laptop, more power to them. They do what they want to do. Great. That's all them. I mean, my opinion, just like anybody else's, it's just more of, I have a feeling he might show up at the Rumble because he's advertised there, and like as far as the signing goes. And then he's advertised to do like a WrestleCon. Yes. So
he's not going to be on the ship when we leave then.
Right. So he may show up at the Rumble and then hit two birds with one stone and come to the cruise when we arrive to the Dominican Republic.
Okay. Kind of like Cassidy and Daniel Garcia did last year.
Exactly. That's just my take. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, you know.
It's fine either way, because you're gonna have fun no matter what, man.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of it. Well, I'm pumped for that beach party this year. I'm sure you being from Maryland are going to be ready for that.
I'm very excited, regardless of what's going to happen. I'm very excited what we're going to be into. This cold weather has been miserable, and it's just I can't. What's that?
We had 58 here today.
Lucky you.
Yeah. I want cold. I hate this weather.
I hate this weather right now. It's miserable. We were like yesterday we were 10 degrees. Yesterday we were 10 degrees. We were like 8 degrees prior to that, and I couldn't hit. My hair was hardened and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, after this, like I can't wait to be on the hot sun and just enjoying this weather, nice weather that I'm like desperate to have.
Yeah. Hey, but Walter, appreciate having you on, brother. I'm gonna have to have you on after the cruise. We'll have to do a little recap.
I'm looking forward to it.
Desi and Jamal on one night and do like a little.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it. This is a drink for you guys. So
cheers to all you, Walter. We'll have to do one of those on the ship, but the adult version. The adult. But hey, Jericho cruise is coming up a week from today. I'm so old school that I'm the type that won't believe it until I get to the port or really on the ship. But it's fun to talk about it. So Walter, once again, want to add at the end? Anything you want to say? Anything? The floor is yours, brother.
Well, for the people watching and for people listening, I'm looking next time on 7. That's gonna happen fall 2026. I hope to see you and meet you, the ones who's going to be on this cruise for the first time, second time, third time. I'm excited to see you like on the boat and all that. Don't hesitate to say hi. I'm always I'm trying to be a cool guy. I try to be a cool guy just as much as you. And for the originals, for the OGs who's been there going on 6 times straight, I'm excited to see you family again. So we're on for a ride. We're on for a sail.
All right. Hey, all right. Take care, everyone. And Jericho Cruise 6 on the beach coming up.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Bye, guys. Remember, Please bring sunblock.
Always wear sunblocks and always washy. Thanks, guys.
Right, guys, and remember, have some water nearby in case you drink too much.
Thanks, guys.
Anything else we forgot? Tips from the learning tree for this cruise?
Always washy and happy. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. You guys are the best. Take care, Walter.
All right, take care. See you.
All right, buddy.